It's the end of the day with Ray. Ladies and gentlemen, it's unbelievable. I decided to go to the Eiffel Tower, and look at the hell, I run into Frank Cucco. Cucco, how you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. I can't
Awesome.
believe. What the hell? You were just in like Italy. You've been there like 19 times this year. So I got to ask you a question. You know, I talked to some of my friends. They're like, hey, I can't even go to lunch. The business fall apart. And you travel all over the world and you're always gone. How do you do that?
Yeah, I love traveling, and the way I do it is we have really good people that can run the business while I'm away. And a matter of fact, you know, Impact went through an evolution of product from our core product, which was hardware, was our main driver. But over the years, we transitioned that into IT, cyber, and some other products. And, you know, now that's our main focus. And yeah.
It lets you travel around the world.
Yeah, I mean, it lets me travel, but really what lets me travel is the people around me. Gives me the freedom to be able to leave the business. I can trust them. They know what they're doing, and they really don't need my help anymore. So not only did the product transition, which was my train of thought, but the transition of people is happening right now. I'm 61 years old. I'm going to be 62 this year. And we're now starting to let these people that have been with the company 20 years, 15 years, start to get those key positions in the company. Myself, Dan Meyer, Tom Peters are going to be running a board for both DOT and Impact. So we're kind of going back to school at Kellogg to learn those things. And then the people that were below us are going to be filling in those positions and moving forward. So that's how you do it. You grow people, you give them the ability to do what they do best, and you don't hold them back. And that's the beauty of what we have created at Impact, is that those people have always helped run the business, and now they're capable of running the business without us there. So that's how I do it.
I had an old mentor of mine told me a long time ago, if you hire people that put more responsibility on themselves than you ever would, then you got a home run. So that's
and it worked.
And you got to trust your people. You know?
Right, exactly. I think there's a lot of examples. You know our company very well. There's a lot of examples of people in this company like, Patrick Layton, Mike Lepper, Ashley Carnes, and on and on and on, that are more than capable to do whatever Impact needs to do. And quite frankly, it's exciting to see that next generation take over the company. We'll probably do about 220, 225 this year, and see them, really get that from where Dan and Tom and I were able to bring it up to that, 500 million mark, which has been our goal for a while.
That would be so exciting.
Yeah. And I think it also, by the transitioning and letting these people do and the evolution of the product, they're all really excited now to take on these challenges. And I've talked to all of them in the last few weeks, and it's like almost a new birth of the company. Like when we first started Impact, that excitement's back because of this.
Sometimes you need those sparks to keep going too.
Right, exactly.
Even yourself, you got to get sparked every once in a
while. And I think people have to know when it's time to pull back and when these capable people can step in. And I think that's really hard for most owners because they want to control and ride it out till the end of time. That's really, in my opinion, that's not the model. The model is step out of the way, let the people you trained and helped for 20 years take the helm and be proud of what they're going to be able to do.
It's not like you're going off the planet. You're still there as their advisor and their
yeah, that's the new setup. We got like a board, which is going to be the Dan, Tom, myself. We're going to have a couple other people from Impact, 5 people from the outside, and kind of try to bring some new ideas and creativity from the outside. People that maybe have built $500 million companies or billion-dollar companies. And then below that, we have 3 really positions that are key, which is the CFO, Jeff Miller, my son Anthony, the COO, and then Mike Lepper will be the CEO. So, that's where we're headed. And underneath that, we have a group of 10 employees that are all C-level. And so the decisions will be made with those 10 and those 3 brought up to the board, and the board will decide direction. So really it's getting me back to what I love to do, which is the vision of the company and, strategy of where we're going, what products we're going to pick up, what's the geography, and so on and so forth.
But it's almost scary of your vision, because if you got this infrastructure already in place, you got these really top-notch talented people, I mean, the imagination, sky's the limit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I always tell people Frank Cucco's the guy that built that damn stadium in the cornfield, and all the baseball players came.
build it and
They
they'll
would
come.
and you've done amazing with that.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time, why do you like Impact so much? And I say, well, go on social media and look at the content that their leaders put out there. Read the thought leadership from their leaders. It's everybody's on a mission, but at the end of the day, they know what the real mission is to give great, exceptional experiences to your customers.
Yeah. And I think even now people are more aligned than ever, and it's we got a good core group of those 13 to 20 people. So that's really how I have the freedom to now travel, and I spend a lot of time with my family and my kids now because I sacrificed that all at the beginning. This is my way to get back into a family kind of situation where, when I started Impact with Dan and Tom, I mean, we spent nights at the office.
Hours and hours.
Yeah, and that went on for years. So, now I have the freedom to do other things that are important.
Which is the entrepreneurial dream.
Yes.
Okay, so you just painted this utopia picture. We're sitting in front of the Eiffel Tower, but at the end of the day, Frank, come on. There's got to be something that really concerns you about Impact, even though you might not want to express it freely, but I think you ought to. So what is the big concern in your I guess the vision you have going forward? I mean, what's the thing that could say, oh shit?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my personal opinion, the biggest concern is getting the people, especially on the sales force, up to the level to be able to sell the products we sell today. The massive IT deals that are very complicated, artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. These are all complicated areas that we work in now, where before, a copier was a commodity and it really didn't take that much brain power.
No, I mean,
and believe me, I did it and you did it, and we rolled it in and that was that. But this is much more sophisticated. So it's really hard and the learning curve is really long to get them up to speed to sell these products. So, we really did a great job with the evolution into the product. Now we have to do a great job doing the evolution of the people to be able to sell the product. And that's what these core group of people are putting together for 2025, what our go-to-market is, how that's going to change the whole org chart and the strategy of how we go to market. It's going to be completely different than what we do today. And we've been working on it for at least this whole year. So we're almost ready to launch. We have a big 25th anniversary coming up, which you're going to be attending.
It's going to be exciting.
Yep, in Mexico. And we are going to kick off this. It's a one-day meeting and then a couple of days of partying. So we'll kick off that whole system and how we're going to do that at that meeting and create excitement around it and so on and so forth. But I think we're positioned very well to be successful. Like I said, to really hit home runs, we have to level up the people. That's what I worry about. Everything else, you're around enough. We have a solid foundation. We have great technology. We have awesome buildings. We can attract people. We don't have problems with any of that other stuff. It's just the education of the people.
Well, I think, there's going to be a point where we look so far outside what we used to look for when we hire people, number one.
Yes.
And, you're almost, when I think about the managed services or the cybersecurity service, I'm almost thinking of a person that went to college to be a CPA.
Yeah.
That understands how to have those high-end conversations with C-levels.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. I mean, because we did change the way we're looking at hiring people. And what we've done is we're looking at the Ascendants and KMPG and Deloitte, and we're going to those companies to try now to find out what they do, how they do it, and bring their people to us and hire them and have them be helping our sales forces level up. Not that we're going to be an Accenture or anything, but we take what they do and then we infuse that into the upper SMB, and that's really our strategy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's definitely game changing, which you always change the game, that's for damn sure. Part of that vision you got, right? Well, Frank, I got to tell you, every time I come here, I've always been impressed with what you're doing, and congratulations on 25 years. And
thank you.
Looking forward
it's
to
been a good run.
to Mexico. Well, it's been a good run, and I always say that once you get to that certain number, and you're breaking 200 million, going to 300 million, it's not going to take you near as long as it took you to get to 200. That's for sure.
Especially with the product offering.
And then when you get to 3, the track to 500 is easy track. Pretty soon you'll be saying you're going to do $1 billion. And one of the things that's interesting about Impact, if you look at some of these other mega dealers, is you didn't buy any of this. I mean, you did have a couple little acquisitions over time, but for the most part, this is all organic.
Yep.
And I always tell people, maybe you're better off to invest in the people.
Yes.
And spend the money in the human capital and to build your own damn thing.
Yeah.
Especially with IT. I mean, that's just,
as usual, you got it right 100% again. I mean, we built this huge infrastructure, and now our concentration going forward, and I've announced this at many meetings, is investing in our people, investing in the education, those type of things. So we're at that position where we can really change the game, because years ago, we couldn't afford people that we're looking at today. Now we can afford them, and I think they'll really help accelerate that revenue and profit stream going forward.
Well, I think that's probably one of the places where a lot of these folks that get into IT, or cybersecurity, if you will, but they focus on the way they were building their commodity print business. And if you don't have really, really high margins, with really, really good returns, you can't afford the human capital. And you can be a $220 million company as you, but if $100 million of that's in IT, which is bringing you a hell of a lot more profitability than the contract you won for some county where you had to go and do a bid for a bunch of machines. So,
I mean, in my opinion, if you're not getting 60 to 70% margins on these very sophisticated deals, then you might as well not do them. You will end up losing money. And like you say in a lot of your videos, anybody who's doing $3,000, $2,000 deals, no assessments, they're all losing money.
They're nuts.
And we went through that, so that's how I know. It's not that I'm just saying that because you say it. I'm saying it because we started like that, and we have data, historical data. Every one of those deals is a loser. It has to be around 10,000 above. You got to be able to invest. You can't sell cyber and make 2 or 3 or 5% margin from a third party. You might as well not do it. And I've had people come to me with offerings and, you'll make 8%. Well, we can't run Impact on 8%, especially the lowest margin product we have is copiers, and we're at like 48, 49%.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they don't understand when they get into the IT service or managed services, they're looking more at their stack, but they've never defined the most important thing, which is the persona of the right customer. You guys call it your profile account, but at the end of the day, you hear people saying, well, it's got to be 25 users. I don't give a shit. If they got 25 users, you walk in their office and they got shag carpet, 1960s furniture, they're probably not going to be your customer.
Yeah, they're not going to afford it.
So, who is an Impact customer, and what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does your service mean to that customer?
Yeah, I mean, we identified what's called ICPs, Ideal Customer Profile. So we did a lot of research on that, through our marketing department. So now we know the exact profile of our customer, and each of our reps have, 200 of those ICPs, and we're going to increase that actually to work on. And we don't want any other customers, because they're the customers that need our services, that'll pay for our services, and that's how we identified that. And it works, and it's smooth, and it really streamlines what the employee is looking for versus a shotgun approach of just go anywhere and do anything, knock on any door.
Hope it all works out.
Yeah, I mean, that
Run
obviously
back and
doesn't
ring the
work.
bell.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Yeah, I was talking to Leper not too long ago. I did an interview with him, but he was we talked about the assessments, and that's a big thing. I mean, if I go to your website and you're in IT and you give away free assessments, I'm just like, okay, that's you don't sell IT. But what was interesting to me was that you went to this 10,000 minimum. And my question to him is, when are you going to go to 15? He said, well, we don't really need to do that because the average is 17. So, I mean, and that's the progress of having the right people.
Right.
Because you didn't hire people that are going for the minimum. You hired people that want to do the best that they can.
Yeah, and I think part of it is what's driven by leadership. If you drive down that, hey, and Dan had a big thing on this of getting to 16,000, and Dan drove that initiative, and the people responded. You got to get the people to believe in the vision. If they don't believe they can get 16,000, they're not getting 16,000. So it's about leaders driving that home. I think a lot of companies have issues because they're dealing with traditional copier people that won't help them make the transition. They really put up the walls so that they end up failing and dumping out of it. So, I mean, you really got to analyze the people and who you're working with if you're going to get into these other products. And then as a leader, you have to demand what has to be done, or you have to get different people.
You know, Frank, it's just like our friends trying to get into e-commerce. You know, I talk to them about it, and they're like, I got to talk them into it. I'm like, okay, first of all, you should be trying to figure out how to fix the e-commerce that somebody talked you into like 8 years ago. You know?
Yeah.
And even you, I used to beat you up. Get
Yes,
the hell
you
in
did.
e-commerce.
Yes,
Get the hell
you
in
did.
e-commerce. So, you know, you made the decision to get into that. And what are you on track to hit in a revenue for that?
I mean, this year we're going to hit $1.2 million, and we've actually now have 2 people in that department. But you know, Norm from MPS Toolbox, I mean, you give a lot of advice, but that was probably the best advice you gave us, was to hook up with him, get this thing rolling, because that's a short period of time. We've only been in it less than a year, and we're going to do $1.2 million. So we started with all the A4s. And again, it's getting back to the salespeople not putting up walls. So what we did was say, hey, all A4s are going to go through e-commerce. You don't have to do the paperwork. You don't have to do anything. Send it through e-commerce, but we're still going to pay you a commission on that product. So they love putting it through because they don't have to do anything. They still get paid. So that's how we solved that. Now, with Norm, he created, with Great America, the links to actually do leases. So now we're adding the A3s. Yeah, that's really cool because it's very difficult paperwork and so on and so forth. And our reps, when I interview them at the end of the year, our senior people, that I say, what wastes the most of your time? They say, you know, selling this hardware, because it's difficult with the paperwork and everything else. So they say, well, maybe it's 60%, you know, 60% of my time's on other things, 40%'s on, you know, selling hardware. Well, I want that to be zero, unless it's production, and they're gonna spend 20 grand a month like all our other products. So now we have the ability through Norm and MPS Toolbox to link up with Great America, which is our lead leasing company. Automatically, they do the paperwork. They do the credit check. All we do is ship the box out of our warehouse, and the rep gets a box bonus on it. So they love it. We've taken away that. But let me tell you the reason why we want that, because this is even more important, is that now they can spend their time on high dollar profitable deals like IT, cyber, and AI. So we've taken that 50% of time or 40% of time, given them back to them, and got them streamlined into the ICPs, and now selling deals. Our deal, average deal size, you went to dinner with Dan last night, is $27,000 a month, which is crazy because when we sold copiers, our average deal, period, not a month, period, was $18,000. That's amazing.
That is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So will it be, if I'm a print professional for you and I'm selling hardware, would I do all my orders through the e-commerce? So I would do it as a rep for the customer right through e-commerce?
Yeah, well, they would drive the customer to the e-commerce, and then we have 2 veterans, Tommy Lajeunesse, who's been at Impact for 25 years selling, and worked at another company for me for like 5 years, and then Matt Michaels, who developed the whole project and has really worked hard with Norm and MPS Toolbox to get this where we need it to be. Those 2 guys implement everything on the back end. All the rep does is toss it over to them, tell the customer to go on the e-commerce site if they have any kind of issues or they questions this or that. Those 2 guys are sitting in the office all day. They help the customer through it, so it's seamless.
Awesome stuff.
And another good thing is we get paid on almost all these deals with a credit card. It's very rare. Instant. Now we're going to get paid through the leasing company instant, or it's a PO from a school or whoever. So we really can do any kind of business through that site, and we get our money much faster.
Will you expand the catalog so they can, if they, like, say you got a major account that's an IT customer, and they want to go on there and buy earbuds for 150 employees, or they want to buy some peripherals, would they be able to go to the website soon and buy that kind of stuff?
Yes, that's something we want to add on, especially laptops and things like that, where we're selling a lot of them. And it's another hard process to get those through. You know, if you're going to sell those type of products, you got to be like CDW and Amazon and these companies that you place the order, it's seamless, and it's there the next day. If you can't do that, then you shouldn't do it. And we aren't to that position yet to be able to provide that type of service. So, you know, we don't do anything until we got it right.
Well, you eat your own dog food too. So after your 1,000 employees start buying stuff on the e-commerce site, you'll know that it'll work.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, Frank, I got to tell you, you know, being in Paris is pretty damn phenomenal.
Oh, it's awesome. Beautiful. I'm
Looking
glad you
forward to
flew
going-
out here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Mexico not too long from now. And,
Yep, January.
And you know, it's just an amazing company. You've done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
and your
Appreciate
team.
it.
Congratulations again. Because, Frank, everybody that watches me, no matter where the hell it is in the world, knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all later.
And I'm going to get a croissant. Bye.